Now, Britain, Canada, Ireland and the US have all confirmed that a man detained in Russia on spying charges is one of their citizens. Paul Whelan, a former US Marine, is now at the centre of intense media speculation. Our correspondent, Hilly Petrenka, picks up the story.
Haven't they got us get rather used to hearing about Russian spies getting caught in America?
We have the hybrid warfare that you're seeing with Russia, which is very much forefront in Spy Master.
This is the one thing, this is a hard and fast rule of training when you go into espionage, particularly coming out of the Soviet Union or Russia.
A woman accused of being a Russian spy has pleaded guilty in a US federal court.
This time, the case is the exact opposite. Paul Whelan, an American national and former U.S. Marine, was arrested in Moscow, in perhaps the fanciest hotel in the capital. But who would have known when the news broke that as many as 4 countries would end up saying, "He's our guy," about Mr. Whelan?
The Embassy of Ireland in Moscow has requested consular access to an Irish citizen currently detained in Russia.
We are extremely worried about Paul Whelan. We have offered consular assistance.
Consular officials are aware that a Canadian citizen has been arrested in Russia.
Ambassador Huntsman expressed his support for Mr. Whelan and offered the embassy's assistance.
However, when it comes to the Canadian passport, the suspect's brother couldn't even say whether he still has it or not.
I don't know. I know that he was once a Canadian citizen, so he may still be, and I know that he is an American citizen right now.
Strange, but that's how it is. Paul Whelan is in detention in Moscow, having been charged with espionage. Although his family is sure the reason he went to Russia was just a wedding party. The American ambassador had been given permission to see the spy suspect, and so he did. Mr. Whelan's lawyer is seeking bail for his client. But don't forget, several countries have lined up to help him out. So while UK officials are waiting for the green light to get access to the alleged spy, their top diplomat has spoken out.
Our position is very, very clear. Individuals should not be used as pawns of diplomatic leverage. We need to see what those charges are against him to understand whether there is a case or not. We are not ruling out any theories at all at this stage as to why this might have happened.
There are very few details on the case that we know of for now. There hasn't been much reaction from senior officials either, but journalists around the world are all over the story, and speculation is rife.
He faces up to 20 years in a Russian jail. That's plenty of time to be swapped for this woman, Maria Butina.
What's most likely is Whelan's a pawn in Russia's play to get back one of its spies, Maria Butina.
After Maria Butina here in the United States.
Maria Butina.
Do you believe the arrest of your brother was retaliation, was revenge in some way by the Russians?
As you've just heard, many are linking this case with the case of Maria Butina. She was arrested in America in July and eventually pleaded guilty to conspiring against the U.S. with a Russian government official and at least one other person without notifying the Attorney General. However, the fact is, the charges brought against Maria Butina and Paul Whelan are completely different.
Hilly Petrenka there. Well, earlier this week, the Washington Post published an article about Mr. Whelan's detention, and in it, former CIA official John Cipher shares his doubts about Whelan being a spy, saying, quote, "We don't send in random Americans without diplomatic immunity to collect low-level stuff." Well, we asked legal and media analyst Lionel for his reaction.
He says that we only use, according to this, people with diplomatic immunity. When you look at this, as far as the illegality of it, what is the role of diplomatic immunity? How does that work? Or does that in any way interfere with spying and vice versa? You're not going to see a lot of people address this. And you're not going to see a lot of people in the American media, in the American media, speak to this particular point. We must assure that all individuals in all countries are accorded the rights that are available to them. What's fascinating is that you will see American mainstream media, in particular, that does not have necessarily some of the best newsrooms, some of the best, let's say, experts available, who will have to feed the 24/7 media monster. You have to feed it. You have to give it something. You're going to talk to anybody who's ever remotely worked with the CIA, was in the CIA, drove by the CIA, knew somebody who was in the CIA. So a lot of times you're not going to see some of the best vetting of the experts.